Okay, very well. I have to now go to my write-up here that I wrote, and I want to go and I cut and paste some stuff from earlier Joma Praise, and I want to review that so I can get to the findings that we have today. Okay, so 570th Gaussian prime and Gaussian composite. Okay, so there are two prime numbers. One of them is a Gaussian prime. The other one is Gaussian composite. So what does that mean? That means that one of them, which is Gaussian prime, it cannot be factored out even in the imaginary domain, in the complex domain. The other one, which is called Gaussian composite, those are the ones that can be actually factored out in the complex plane. That's 19 is a Gaussian prime. It cannot be factored out. Not even in the real thing, in the real numbers, it cannot be factored out, obviously, because that's a definition of prime. Okay, and it also cannot be factored out in the complex domain, where you have imaginary numbers. Gaussian composite, on the other hand, like 17 is a Gaussian composite because it can be factored out into 4 minus I times 4 plus I. And I is the square root of minus 1. So if you go to your calculator and you say minus 1, then punch the square root, it gives you an error. Okay? But those are numbers that we need in order to do science and physics and everything that's around us, electronics and everything. We have to use complex numbers. Okay, so I went back to a very simple statement. The 19th prime is 67, and the 19th composite is 30. Okay, so from this simple line, which is absolutely eternal, we'll see that chapter 67, which is called the kingship, has 30 verses. So you see it right in front of you, 67 and 30. 19 times 67 is 1273, which is the number of word God from 11 to 9127. 19 times 30 is 570, which is the number of frequencies of A.L.M Mim in chapter 32, which is called prostration. Okay. 570th Gaussian prime happens to be 9127. 500 Gaussian composite happens to be 9241. So we look at the following table. In that following table, I put it in, and I said 570 is the index of a Gaussian prime and a Gaussian composite. The Gaussian prime is 9127. The Gaussian composite is 9241. So now let us look at the relation between 9241 and 9127. 9241 minus 9127 is 114, which this tells you that, yes, I am talking to you about the Quran. Because Quran has 114 chapters. So we did not do absolutely anything in here. Okay, absolutely anything. Looking at the Quran or not looking at the Quran, we didn't do anything. All we did, we looked at these numbers and their natural properties. And they told us about the number of A.L.M in chapter 32. They told us about the number of frequency of God, which is 1273 from the beginning of the Quran to 9127. They told us about 570 being the index of Gaussian prime 9127. And we know that chapter 9 has only 27 verses. 570 Gaussian prime, Gaussian composite is 9241. We looked at this thing, and then we found out that, yes, God is talking to us about the Quran. So Quran has 114 chapters. So this numbers, that line generated all this information about a book that has 114 chapters. Okay? So now let's go further a little bit. 9240 first prime happens to be 95881. This number 95881 also happens to be an emerged, which means that if you write it backwards, it's going to be another prime. But this one happens to be the 1514th such number, such emerged. 1514. 1514 happens to be the 1273rd composite. Remember we started with 1273, the number of word God in 9127, the frequency of the word God in 9127. We're back here. 1514 is index is 1273. 1273, again, I repeated that bullet over here, 19 times 67. 19 times 16, 1273 is the number of word God from 1 to 9. Okay. Now you see the gravity of the situation now. The gravity of this situation is absolutely immense. What we were reading in the first unit of this praise, of this contact praise today, which is absolute blessing from God to us. Okay. And so it shows how grave the situation is, that we cannot slide. We cannot throw these things behind our back. We cannot forget it. We have to abide by this. We have to fashion our lives according to these verses. Then we'll have, we'll be, happiness is being at peace with God. And what He does is okay with us, no matter what. Okay. So this is what we have to pay attention to. So again, this is gravitas for what I was talking. Okay, and we see this every week. Okay, almost every week. We see this every week. The stuff that we did not pay attention before, it comes out and you say, oh my God. So this 9241st prime is 95881. And 95881 happens to be an emergent. Okay. We didn't look at this before. We didn't know that 1514, we knew that 1514 is 1273, but it shouldn't be there. That number should not be there. This is by Almighty's design. It's how He designed the world, how He designed the numbers. That's how He gave. That's why He says this is an eternal book. Because of these numbers. None of these things, these information that I give you today here, can be refuted, cannot be refuted. None of them. Absolutely none of them. Because they are part of the eternity of God's creation. And these numbers, as I said, they talk to you. They're telling you why. They are narrating a story. And this is absolutely independent of the language that somebody speaks. Go back to that again. Okay? This is absolutely independent of the language. That's why God says that language is, can be in Arabic or non-Arabic. Doesn't matter. Just for those who believe in it, it's a healing for them. Okay? This Quran is a healing. And that's what God is describing to us here. This has nothing to do with your language. Nothing. You can speak Chinese or Japanese or whatever. Everybody understands this. Everybody. I don't have to translate it because it tells you, this is the word A.L.M, that's the number this, okay? The non-Arabs will know then that the number of Alif Lam Mim in chapter 32 is 570. They don't know Arabic, but they know this. The ones who know Arabic, they actually miscounted that, and they made a website for themselves. Okay, and people are logging onto that website. Okay, that's amazing. So that's what we generated this by God's grace, and with His permission, that He allowed us to be witnessing this by His grace, infinite grace. Okay, I'm going to stop here and finish our journal. Allahu Kabir. Subhanallah.